Welcome to the October 19th, 2022 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. At this time, I would request that everyone please turn off or mute all electronic devices. Also at this time, I would invite everyone to stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Applications for conditional use permit requests and rezoning requests will be heard during tonight's meeting, and the commission will vote on these applications and make a recommendation to the county council. The applications will then be scheduled to be introduced before the county council at their Monday, November 14th, 2022 meeting. Public comment for conditional use permit requests will be taken during tonight's meeting and at the county council meeting on Monday, November 14th, 2022. Public comment on conditional use permit applications will not be taken at any meeting of the county council held thereafter. Applications for preliminary plats will also be heard and voted on by the Planning and Zoning Commission during tonight's meeting. The vote on preliminary plats is final. Should the Planning and Zoning Commission deny the approval of a preliminary plat, the plat would then be forwarded to the county council for a final determination and would be scheduled to be heard at their Monday, November 14th, 2022 meeting. The following documents are introduced as a matter of record for this evening's public hearing and regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Those documents are the Unified Development Ordinance of St. Charles County, including zoning maps, and the year 2030 Master Plan for St. Charles County, which includes the year 2030 Future Land Use Plan map. I see we have a quorum. Is there a motion to open the meeting?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to open the meeting. All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Okay. Good evening. I will first off explain a little bit about how our meetings work. I will read into the record the application. Then we'll ask the staff for their report. We may have questions for the staff, may not. Then we'll have the applicant to come forward to present their application and answer any questions that the commission may have. Then we will open that application to the public hearing. Anyone wishing to come and speak regarding the application can come and speak. If you are going to speak, we ask that you fill out one of these cards. Okay, they're right up here on the corner of the table. This way we make sure we get your name and your address correct in our minutes. Also, anyone that speaks, anyone that speaks, I have to swear you in. This is all of our meetings are meetings of record. So if you come forward, then I'll have to swear you in that you'll swear that you're telling the truth. Once we've closed the public hearing, we'll ask the applicant to come back and address any questions or concerns that may have come up during the public hearing. Once we've closed the public hearing, we will not take any more comments from anyone in the audience. Okay, so once the public hearing is closed, then it's closed. As I said, we'll have the applicant to come back, answer any questions or concerns that may have come up during the public hearing, and then at that time, the commission will take action on that application. So that's our that's our process that we go through. Okay. So with that in mind, if anyone is here concerning application RZ 22-14, which is rezoning request for 3866 South Point Prairie Road. That is the rezoning of about 95 acres into RR and R1A homes to be known as Saxony Ridge. Anyone here for that? That is being continued to the November meeting. And also the preliminary plat for that one is going to be continued. So that will not be heard tonight. Anyone here for the Saxony Ridge project out on South Point Prairie Road near the city of New Melle? That is being continued on to November. Okay. So the first item on our agenda is a rezoning request located at 5170 Highway 94 South. The application number is RZ 22-15. The property owner is Lake Augusta Farms LLC. The current zoning is A, agricultural district with floodway fringe overlay district. The requested zoning is RR, single-family residential district with floodway fringe overlay district. The 2030 master plan recommends agricultural uses. The area is 1.68 acres of a 134.44 acre parcel. The location is on the north side of Hackman Road, approximately 2,000 feet east of Bluff Lane, near the city of Augusta. This is located in Council District 2. Staff.
The subject parcel, as you mentioned, is 134 acres. It stretches all the way from Highway 94 south, clear down to the Katy Trail. And so the terrain falls off dramatically from north to south towards the Katy Trail. And of course, you've got more relief, bluffs, whatever you want to call them, when you get close to the Katy Trail. It's largely undevelopable in the back. So although the address of this parcel is Highway 94 south, the area that we're talking about is really all the way on the south next to the Katy Trail and Hackman Road. As I understand it, and if the applicant correct me if I'm incorrect on this, but he's trying to solve a specific problem with this rezoning request, and that is to help save what he considers a historic farmhouse on Hackman Road, trying to create a 3-acre site around the farmhouse for installation of on-site sewage treatment system. It needs a new system, and you can't put one on an adjacent property. It needs to really be on its own property. There's already RR single-family residential district zoning right there, but it doesn't necessarily surround the farmhouse. And so by rezoning this 1.68 acres to RR, that would allow the owner to move some lot lines around and create a 3-acre parcel around this existing farmhouse. And that's the essence of the request. It is essentially across from, I guess it's called the sewage lagoon for City of Augusta. It's pretty close to the City of Augusta city limits. And that is the gist of the application. County staff is recommending that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval.
Any questions for staff? Very good, thank you. We'll ask the applicant to come forward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Please raise
William
your-
Geck.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
William Geck, 54 Roan Lane, St. Louis.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, the property, there is a house there. It's 5121 Hackman Road, and we bought our farm over a decade ago. This was a 7-acre parcel that was split by a bluff. Only a goat could get up the bluff. So the owner wanted to sell it to us because we had the farm that was up on top of the bluff. So without an easement to that parcel, his land was not really sellable. So we bought it thinking we might save this house, and you guys in 2015 zoned it for the 3 acres there. This is a brick house built in 1841. It was a general store. In those days, the river actually came up to it, and it was on a knob above the river. Riverboats tied up there for stock and for firewood out of that house. I think it's the oldest brick house in Augusta. It predates the museum. house, but is very similar, if you know that house. So anyway, I think it's worth saving, but what we didn't realize, that knob has no way to put a septic field on it. And so when we bought it, you zoned it to 3 acres. There was 3 acres of that property there, and then the other 4 acres was up on the bluff, with no connection. You couldn't get a road or any way up there. So we later bought 5 acres, so we actually have about 140 acres to the west, and that 5 acres to the west abuts this property, and it's high enough to put a septic field in. So I have a plot here that shows how the septic field folks wanted it. I went ahead and had it surveyed, not knowing that there was a problem with the agricultural district. So nothing's going to go there. Nothing can ever be built there. It'll be underground. It'll be a septic system. And the other portion that is in the creek bed basically would just revert to the agricultural. So it's just kind of a swap to get a spot for a septic tank, septic field.
Put that on the, is that your diagram of your?
Yeah, this shows a septic field. I'll get the larger one to show you.
You can actually put it on this.
You can put it on right here, this, the Elmo.
Okay. Okay. This is off. You want to turn that on? It says do not touch.
They're going back there to make sure. Technology's great.
There it is.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's not gonna help much. All right.
See that just as well.
Yeah, we have
I'm
it.
glad that clarified it.
This is Hackman Road.
Right.
Katy Trail's right here.
Yeah.
This is where the house is. And this is the bluff. Like, the bluff line runs along here. So all this lands up on top of the bluff. You
Yeah.
can't really get a field up there. This is a knob of rock that sticks up.
You'll need to speak into the microphone, sir.
Yeah,
I'm
you need
sorry.
to be very much.
We
We
have
have
it
it
in
on
our
our
packet.
screen.
We
It's
have
in
it in
our
our
packet.
packets.
Okay, well, you don't have these lines, but yeah. So where it shows the septic field to the left is part of a 5-acre field that runs up Hackman Road that we own. Where the house is sitting is on the knob, and then, again, the property back behind it is all creek. So they couldn't put the septic field back there. So we had it rezoned, the 3 acres, to come over into the other field, and the creek reverts back to the rest of the farm. It's agricultural.
Okay.
So we didn't really expand the footprint, we just changed the footprint to allow for the field.
Any questions for the applicant?
I think it's admirable you're trying to save that house.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, yeah. There wasn't much left of it, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
We will now open the public hearing for RZ 22-15. Anyone wishing to speak? Evening, Art.
Good evening, how are you?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you very much, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, County Public Advocate, mailing address P.O. Box 1535, O'Fallon. First of all, I'm not in opposition to this issue. I clearly understand the facts and the supporting documents to back up this project, so I fully support and ask your unanimous consideration for recommendation to the County Council. However, it is located in the Flood Fringe Overlay District, and I would like to make it a matter of record to ask and inquire exactly what the county is doing to protect treasures such as this. As we all know, this area floods annually or biannually or every couple of years, and it causes a lot of havoc in the Augusta area. So we really need to build some consensus, some money in terms of forming a drainage ditch, a drainage district or something in that area to combat flooding and to preserve and protect our historic treasures throughout the county. Those are my comments, Mr. Chairman, and I ask for unanimous approval.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing for RZ 22-15. We need, any questions for the applicant?
Make a motion to approve RZ 22-15.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Barr made the second, so there's been a motion made and seconded to approve RZ 22-15. Ms. Bamer, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr., let's see, Ms. Cornwell's not here. Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
Ms. Cochran?
Yes.
Mr. Shell?
Yes.
Ms. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Clary?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that passes. Okay.
If you want to go, you can.
Yeah, you can, you're free to go.
You're welcome.
Unless you really like long meetings. Which we do.
The next item on our agenda is a conditional use permit request located on Highway D. The application number is CUP 22-11. The property owner is Osage Land Holdings LLC. The property zoning is C2 General Commercial District. Conditional use request is an outdoor storage lot for automobiles, boats, trucks, and recreational vehicles. The parcel size is 5.67 acres. The location is approximately 250 feet west of the intersection of Highway D and Highway Double D, located in Council District 2. Staff.
This property is already zoned C2 General Commercial District. And as you stated, they're requesting a conditional use permit for outdoor storage lot for automobiles, boats, trucks, and recreational vehicles. It's essentially at the southwest quadrant of Highway D and DD. The site does not have sanitary sewer service presently, and so this use would not require sanitary sewer service, but it would take special considerations and specific approval in order for it to be approved and operated, constructed and operated. So to the property's been zoned commercial for some time, but it adjoins single-family residential, the RR zoning to the south. The estates at Lauderdale is a subdivision located immediately to the south. To the west, there's agricultural district zoning. To the north, there's both agricultural district and commercial zoning. And there is an existing RV storage lot that was approved and is being operated nearby. It's along Highway D, maybe about 500 feet, 700 feet to the west of D and DD. So the conditional use permits, there's 5 criteria, basically, that are to be considered when reviewing conditional use permit applications. Would establishing, maintaining, or operating the conditional use be detrimental to or endanger public health, safety, or the general welfare? Would the conditional use injure the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted? Would the conditional use injure the aesthetic and/or scenic values of the vicinity? Would the conditional use substantially diminish or repair property values within the neighborhood? Would the conditional use impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the zoning district? In reviewing requests like this, we often are confronted by potential land use impacts between commercial uses and nearby residential uses or adjoining residential uses. One way that we can address negative land use impacts is, one, to create a buffer between the two different uses. In this case, what's being proposed is what's called a Type 3 landscape buffer that includes both the site-proof fence and trees. On both the south side next to the Lauderdale Estates and also the west side adjoining a residence there. So that's one thing that's being proposed. In fact, the applicant's proposing all coniferous trees so that it would provide a visual buffer year-round rather than just seasonally. Second, another consideration, for instance, is lighting, and we're proposing that all lighting have full cutoff light fixtures. The by county ordinance, light standards can be no taller than 20 feet in height anyway, which is fairly short for a lot of jurisdictions. So with full cutoff light fixtures and that height limitation, light would be cast downward and avoid light pollution on neighboring properties. We're also proposing a recommended condition that all automobiles, boats, trailers, and recreational vehicles shall remain road-ready, licensed, assembled, and in fully functional condition. And you should also know that that just today we received copies of petitions against approval, and there's 125 signatures included by my count. I don't know if you all have a copy of that, but okay. I wanted to find out if you had a copy of that. County staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend that the county council approve the conditional use permit with 5 specific conditions that are listed in the staff report, in the written staff report, and include the considerations that I just mentioned about the buffering and light fixtures.
Any questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll ask the applicant to come forward. Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings from the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your names and address for the record.
My name is Mike Faulkner. I'm Vice President of Sterling Engineering. Offices at 5055 New Baumgardner in St. Louis, 63129.
Thank you.
And my name's David Kolb, 420 Wolfram Road, St. Charles, Missouri, 63304.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hopefully this will work.
I forgot to turn mine off, too.
Let's see.
I see him up there.
You just got to click.
I have been. Oh, there we go. Something's coming up. I guess this wasn't the slide that I wanted to have up right away, but what we did is we wanted to demonstrate what the buffer that we're proposing along Highway D would look like. In lieu of the required buffer, we've opted to increase the buffer up in front to try and help shield the view, and also to give a year-round screen. So that's really what we're wanting to do here. And that slide also showed you what the entrance was going to look like. So this is a MoDOT right-of-way. We've actually already dedicated an additional 30 foot. So the actual development will be roughly about 48 foot back of the edge of pavement of Highway D as it exists today. So it's not going to be right up on Highway D, so it's going to be back a little ways from Highway D, and the screen. That was our biggest focal point, was just to show what we're doing, see if we can get it to come up again. And I apologize that it's,
Try clicking on it again.
yep, there she goes. And this slide right here really shows what our entrance would look like. This is the other facility that's just east of Highway DD on the north side of Highway D. So that's exactly what we're going to do, is pretty much mimic what they've done as far as putting in the type of material up in front to help screen. This is the site plan of the development, and as you can, there it is. Robert, does this work?
It should. Are you looking for a pointer?
Yeah. Top. Don't really see it. Along the north boundary line, you can see where our, I'm sorry? Oh, gotcha. So you can see along our north boundary line, you can see how what we've done is we've taken the material, the landscape material, and what we've done is we staggered that material. Instead of having it in a row, what we've done is staggered it so that it can help that visual look. And what we've done on this also is proposed to wrap that landscaping all the way down along here. This is the residence to the west of us. So we're going to do the same thing in running that landscape buffer down the western boundary line to also, same thing, is instead of having deciduous trees in there and pines, we're wanting to do it all as pines down through there so that we can create a year-round screen for the resident that's right along and to the west of us right here. And now staff has asked that we do a 3, which is the buffer 3, which also adds a site-proof fence along. So there'll be a site-proof fence that will run along here. That would be up against the development, and all the landscaping would be on the western side. So the individuals, the homeowner to the west, would actually be looking at the landscaping, not the fence right up against his property line. The other thing is, too, staff has asked, along our southern boundary here, there's an existing natural buffer that runs along here. We're going to propose to try and maintain as much as that existing buffer tree mass that's there today. But what we're showing here in this concept plan, we're showing our detention basins in here. And those detention basins were sized if this thing was 100% impervious. It's not going to be 100% impervious because it's going to be pervious because it's going to be a gravel is the material that's going to be. So it will accept the water through it, so water will seep through it. So, but our basins that we have sized here are actually demonstrating if this was completely paved, such as an asphalt pave. So we've done that, which is a little bit above and beyond what will be required, but we wanted to demonstrate that we would have the capacity to be able to detain all the water from this site on site. So we'll be looking if this is approved, we'll be looking in our design to try and maintain as much of this existing mature trees that are in right now. This will have the gated entrance in here. It will be a keypad. They'll be given a code. Each of the people that will actually rent and store their facilities here will have a keypad for them. It'll be a security fence completely surrounding this development. And there will be no lights up here. There'll be a small light that will be over the keypad for the individuals to be able to see, but there will not be any lighting per se up and along Highway D up here. There will be a light standard roughly about here, and then another light standard back here. And those will also meet the county standard as far as shielding those from any light trespass off of the property. With that, with me here today is Mr. Coe. He's one of the owners of the future owners of the property, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions for the applicant? If I'm headed, I guess it would be east on D toward Double D, and I was going to make a right-hand turn into the property, how much am I pulling my trailer, my camper? How much room do I have before I hit the security gate?
Well, you're
30
gonna
feet,
have-
50 feet?
No,
60
number
feet?
one is you're gonna have 48 feet from the edge of pavement to where the fence starts. Now, the fence, the actual gate and everything will be actually further back. I can scale that real quick and give you what that dimension is, but it's actually gonna be set back inside the site another 30 feet, I believe. It'll actually be 110 foot is what you'll have from the gate over to Highway DD, or Highway D.
To the center line or to my,
No, that'd be to the edge of
To the
pavement,
edge.
from the edge of pavement.
anyone have any questions for the applicant?
So with this kind of frontage on D and DD,
It
do you
does-
see this more as an interim use?
Well, we really don't have any frontage on DD. We just have frontage on Highway D.
Okay.
There's a strip, a small strip of property that's
Yeah, I see that. It's hard
that's
to tell.
located
It's-
right
it's
here,
property.
which is zone commercial, that separates us from Highway
I see,
DD.
I see, yeah. Okay.
So there will be no access to DD.
How many spots are you proposing with this?
I believe we're at 324.
Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We will now open the public hearing for CUP 22-11. This is a conditional use permit for an outdoor storage lot for automobiles, boats, trucks, and recreational vehicles located approximately 250 feet west of the intersection of Highway D and Highway Double D. Anyone wishing to speak? Come forward. Line up. You have 3 minutes.
All right.
Okay? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings from the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name's Dan Lauderdale, and my address is 1231 Highway DD.
Go ahead, sir.
All right, so I am the head of the petition. I would say that I represent 125 individual property owners that consider this area their community. I also represent 17 residential lots to the south, one commercial lot to the west, one residential to the west, another residential to the west. My supporters of the petition are all concerned with the traffic. We don't see that there's another lane there. I have nieces and nephews in the area. They stop, they come through that intersection often. When people come out of that intersection, they're already going very fast. I don't want to exaggerate there. You know, we worry about the light pollution, the security, the diminished value of the properties to the south. We want to bring attention to the stormwater runoff. So if you would, in my package, Addendum A, you'll see topo map. The topo map is going to explain to you the direction of the surface runoff from the subject property. It comes to a ditch. I do see that they have retention basins, which is great, but it is much higher. So of course the water does come downhill. There's a steep slope when you come down Lauderdale Lane. When that water comes down that steep slope, it's going to come into a ditch which has been created. It'll come around to the pond, as you'll see on Addendum A. The pond transfers into the larger pond or a lake, which comes across a spillway. Okay, that spillway is actually dumped into a losing stream. So it's got jurisdiction with Department of Natural Resources, and what happens is the water fills up under heavy rain, and then it goes away. After the rain, it pools. There's animals and things, fish that could die from different pollutions. Also, the aquifer could be polluted. So I did get signatures from the entire community of Lauderdale Estates, one resident to the west, many residents across the street from Lakeway. They're all concerned with the traffic, the stoppage. And then we have 125 signatures on the petition from people who consider this area their community. The talk is, why are we going to put another one there within the eyesight of our intersection when there is another storage lot exactly the same, they say, 500 feet away.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? You solemnly swear or affirm that you tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings from the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
State your name and address for the record.
Robert Leaker, 1399 Lake Hollow Drive, Defiance, Missouri. I live in Lakeway subdivision. The subdivision will be impacted across the street from this. I'm also a real estate broker with my own company, member of St. Charles County Association of Realtors. So I truly believe that this will decrease the values of the homes in the area. The entrance that Dan talked about is going to cause significant traffic issues on D and Double D intersection. It's just incredible if you live out there, what you have out there. You also have a fire department right down the street. So if you have an emergency, you're going to have problems in that area, the way that entrance is. Keevans is what he was showing you pictures of, the one that's down the other side. They have lots of storage. They have open storage. We don't need more storage out there. The lighting is an issue, no matter how it's down, showing down or not. When I moved out there over 30 years ago, the place was very dark, and now we got this type of properties coming in. I don't think the county needs this type of stuff. The area don't need it. We're a residential area. We don't need more storage. There's Wolf's Wolf storage down, self-storage there. You got Keevans there. Keevans got RV storage all over, Z&N and all over the place. This isn't needed. Security is a big issue to me. I have grandkids, neighbors, kids in the area and that. When you bring these type of things out here, you're going to bring extra people into the area. You don't know where they're coming. We all know that there's an uprise of crime, so we just don't need it in our area and that. And the next thing I want to ask them, what type of restrictions are they going to guarantee on this thing, on the property? How are they going to handle the people that bring in old cars or whatever? I used to own one of these things, and if you don't take care of them and you don't have the right restrictions, it's just going to cause a catastrophe in the neighborhood. So I am definitely against this thing. Thank you.
You've got our card on there.
Hi, I'm Marcia Lees. Oh, I'm sorry. We both have to. This is my husband, Robert.
Hi, Robert. You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings from the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
Please state your names and address for the record.
I'm Marcia Lees, 1389 Lakeway Drive.
I'm Robert Lees, 1389 Lakeway Drive, Defiance.
We are the HOA presidents, co-presidents of the Lakeway subdivision. We have major issues with this. I mean, we are concerned about the safety, security going around there. We know these lots like this bring in a lot of crime. We just had a police officer. We had an HOA meeting last week, and we had a police officer there come talk about the crime in the area. And the biggest crime, besides the fentanyl that's going around, that's something separate, was break-ins to cars and stuff there. And we know with this directly across the street from our subdivision, it just invites more crime. And we've got, besides our property value, there are a lot of, if you know all the new subdivisions that are going in around, all their new homes, $1 million plus homes, this is not something we want in our neighborhood for, for traffic reasons, for aesthetic reasons, all of that. And my biggest fear is that this is allowed to go in. what else? It's going to deteriorate the whole property around the area if other businesses like this go in. And this is supposed to be residential community, not this kind of business in there. Do you have anything to add?
Thank you. That's all we
Okay,
have.
thank you.
Thank you.
Is it possible to get the picture of the other place that you said you're gonna mimic? Can we get that back?
Roger.
Sir, you address us, not anyone. in the-
Sorry, let's start this over. Hi.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Lou Doughton. I live at 3 Lakeway Court, Defiance, Missouri.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Can we
You
get
address
that-
us.
Can we get that picture?
We'll,
What picture are you looking for?
The one that,
of
of the other
Keevan's,
storage.
of Keevan's storage shed.
Trees and stuff in front.
Well, we have it up. I mean, they can bring it up.
Yeah.
No, the picture they took of the other storage
Of
place.
the Keevan storage facility.
Right.
Oh.
It's,
Is it still, you had it
on-
probably
it's
on
on-
disk drive,
Rob,
didn't you?
Robert, it's on our agenda.
No, he's actually talking about the one they had
I
up
think it's on the desktop of the computer
on the
here.
desktop. Can you bring it up,
Here.
Roger?
You-
Or anybody?
They're working on it.
So, my concern.
There you go.
There you go.
So they say they're gonna mimic this. As you see from the wide entrance, that's not a very pleasing picture. And if you look at this picture, this is the view that a turtle would have because it's taken at ground level. If you're up a little higher, you're gonna see a whole lot more. The problem is with this stuff, they're talking about putting trees there. And it's gonna block it, and they're gonna stagger them and this and that. Well, maybe in 10 years, those trees will make a difference, but they're not going to make a difference when they put it in. The area of St. Charles County down there, it's beautiful. It's got wildlife. We're on the edge of bush wildlife. The lighting and all of this stuff is going to affect the deer that run through the area that we all enjoy. Do any of you live south of Highway 40 and that know and appreciate the beauty of the southern part of the county?
We don't have to live there to appreciate it. We all
Well,
do.
point well taken, I'm sorry, but the point I'm making is people move to that area to enjoy the beauty of the natural surroundings. We realize that's commercial property, and at some point, something's gonna go there. But it ought to be something that benefits the people that live there. We shouldn't have to have a place to store people from Chesterfield or O'Fallon or wherever that store their bad investments at a place where they can keep them out of sight. People in our area that have these things, guess what? They build garages. They put their boats, they put their big RVs in garages. We don't need another lot down there. We've got one up the street that, I don't know how that got there, but I guess too many of us were sleeping on the job at the time. But we've already got one, we don't need another. Thank you for your time.
You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Yes, sir.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Avril Shukla. I live on the property directly to the west of this lot, the 5.5 acre lot. We've been there for 7 years at this point, and just wanted to speak in opposition for this measure. I think it substantially changes the nature of the landscape there. This is a rural, agricultural, residential neighborhood, with $1 million homes all around it. This is certainly going to, because I'm adjacent to this property, it'll depress my property values. There's a 5 acre minimum for residential properties there now because you want to have that nature around houses. This is definitely not the use case we were thinking for this lot. We also have an issue with cars and trucks pulling into our driveway because they overshoot, the property next to us. And our driveway has actually been damaged because a dump truck once pulled into it and the driveway sort of collapsed. so we had to pay to get that fixed. With this type of traffic coming into the area, these are big, heavy vehicles. This is going to become a constant nuisance. We'll be forced to put a gate at the entrance, which is going to cost us money. Additionally, this is next to August Bush, a lot of wildlife there. You know, there's eagles, turkeys, deer, all sorts of wildlife. So I think this changes the nature of what this area is supposed to be. And it's an eyesore. It's going to depress our property values. We'll probably have like leakage of oil and gasoline and those type of things into the groundwater. I have a pool. I have a pond on the property that's going to get polluted because we are downhill from there. These are sort of the reasons why I'm opposed to it. And my wife signed a letter and I think sent it to somebody here. So
We've got packets.
it's Kelly Slack. Thank you.
You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings from the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Nancy Floyd. I'm at 4075 Highway D.
Okay, go ahead,
I
Nancy.
live approximately 1 mile from this proposed site. I truly don't see the need for this. We have one. And across the street from the outside storage, we have storage buildings for people to rent. It's not my problem. These people they've got HOAs, they can't park their stuff on their own property. That's not my problem. I've lived there 28 years. I've replaced my mailbox 14 times. That'll tell you the traffic problem already. If you don't travel that area, you don't have a clue. It's not good. I have been supportive of all the progress out there up till now. We just don't need this. We've got one. We've got another one. We don't need an additional outside storage. Very much opposed to it. I 100% agree with the previous speakers, and I hope this doesn't go through. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Dinoff. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings from the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you very much, members of the commission. My name is Arnie A.C. Dinoff, County Public Advocate, mailing address P.O. Box 1535, O'Fallon. St. Charles County, and in particular some of the municipalities such as O'Fallon and Wentzville, are becoming the mecca, the Midwest of storage facilities, both indoor storage facilities and outdoor storage facilities. In my opinion, the land use maps and zoning districts, this is not the place. These major developing areas and major thoroughfares are not the place for storage units. Storage units should be off the beaten path, in the back of commercial developments, like along Highway K or something of that example. To bring to your attention, in the packet, there are 6 opposition letters against the conditional use permit. And we already heard from Robert, the Director of Planning and Zoning, 125 signatures in a petition against. And I would encourage every resident to be at the county council meeting because people have power and they speak volumes. So the conditional use permit is, and I've told you this several times already in past months, and you don't utilize the tools to the benefit of our county, in my opinion. The CUP is the time for protections to add protections to protect residents along with their property values. So, for example, the Type 3 buffer landscape, I would ask that the commission amend from 2 sides to 4 sides if you follow through with the vote to approve. I'm full opposition because I think enough is enough, and especially in this zone and with this type of capital and investment by these residents. These homes are anywhere from $400,000 to $1.5 million to $2 million. And it's nothing to sneeze at, and this is just going to destroy their reputation and their property values. So I ask that you make all 4 sides, if you're inclined to approve, a type 3 buffer, that you mandate in the condition that the height of the tree must be a minimum of 15 to 18 feet. A condition, no derelict or unlicensed inoperable vehicles on the outside of the building. And according to what I've heard the testimony, it's going to be all outdoor storage. A condition of no storage outside of barrels, chemicals. A condition of no storage of fireworks, and as you all know, we have that problem throughout other county storage facilities. We also have a problem of people who decide to live in a storage facility or a storage lot. So a condition of no living in the storage lot in a mobile home or trailer. A condition of no vehicle repairs, dismantling, painting, or body work, which occurs at several of unincorporated storage facilities. And a condition of no sales of cars, trucks, campers, and recreational vehicles. Like I said, I'm fully opposed to this. Enough is enough. If you approve this, I'm asking and begging you to utilize to the full capability of your power and ability the CUP protections for everyone. I stress that these are great tools for you to use. They're at your disposal. They're defined in state law and they're defined in our county charter, and you really underutilize those CUP tools and conditions. This is a permission. This isn't a given. And you're giving them the permission, and we need to make sure that they're going to do what they state that they're going to do on the record. But I ask that you vote this soundly down and recommend to the county council a resounding no. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing for CUP 22-11. I ask the applicant to come back. Anyone have any questions for the applicant? Okay.
I would like to, if I could, rebut on some of the issues that were brought up. One being the stormwater. As I mentioned earlier, the reason that we set up the stormwater the way we did, we set it up as though the lot was completely paved. It's not going to be completely paved, but we've got the stormwater, and we'll meet the new stormwater regulations that St. Charles County has implemented now. So those basins will meet those requirements. So we will have stormwater. We know that, it's a very sensitive thing for surrounding residents. So we'll have water quality, storm detention, we'll have volume reduction, will all be built into those basins, which is what's required by St. Charles County. So we will have that. The other issues that we heard was traffic. Obviously, the traffic that's going to be feeding into this development will be actually moving rather slow because they're going to be making that turning movement. And since it's 250 foot away from the intersection, they're not going to be traveling that quickly. So they're going to be looking to move and turn into this facility. Plus, when they're exiting the development, they'll be actually moving out. There's not a real spot for people to race up and down the streets if that's the concern of the residents. Light trespass, as I mentioned earlier, we've got the light standard in the middle of the development. It's close to 300 foot from the right-of-way of Highway D. The only light that we have that's anywhere near anyone is the one that would be at back farthest of the development that then will actually be shielded by the existing mature trees that are along our southern boundary line. If you remember that I had mentioned, we're going to try and save as much of that existing vegetation and mature vegetation that's along there to help shield and buffer the residents to the south. And I think that's most of the concerns that we heard. Again, I'll be happy to answer any other questions that the commission may have.
Would there be any sewer or water service?
There
on
will
this
not
site?
be. There will not be any sewer. There will not be any water. all facilities. This is just strictly for storage, outdoor storage. Now, I've been informed that the one to the east does not have a lot of openings, that it is rather full. So there is a desire and a need for an additional storage facility.
Who's desiring it? If you've got roughly 140 people who live in this area, who can all park their stuff on their own property, who is desiring it?
Many of the HOAs.
Come forward.
Many of the HOAs within these nice neighborhoods that are being built and the futuristic neighborhoods that are being built all have HOAs that dictate whether or not they can park trailers, RVs, or additional vehicles in their driveway and prevent street parking. This allows more outdoor storage space for them to bring their things, so they're out of sight, protected by the security fences and the lights, and somewhere that they can actually leave their additional things to desire and do on the weekends in a safe place.
How far away are you looking though? I mean, what would be the drive time?
Saxony Ridge would be
10 to
close.
15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
The other comment I wanted to make is that this is a storage lot for RVs, boats, and automobiles. There's not going to be any repairs being done here. There's not going to be anybody living there. That will be strictly prohibited. So anybody, those will be the rules that will be fed out to everybody. So there won't be any of that facility and different types of activities to be happening at this facility.
Was it 24, but it's 24/7 operated? So there's
Yes.
no conditions on when people can come and go?
I wasn't anticipating there to be, because most of the time, if people are going out to go camping, they like to leave early, and
It says low traffic security fence with a 24/7 keypad
Correct.
operated.
Meaning I wasn't thinking that there would be any restrictions of coming and going.
Okay.
Were you planning on having anyone on site? Or is it going to be an unmanned?
It would be unmanned. It would be all done remotely and operated.
So is somebody going to come by once a week to make sure there's not a bunch of broken cars down or that there's people living there? Or how will it be
Yes.
policed, for lack of better words?
There will be obviously landscaping and people that come by to take care of the perimeter of the property to, keep the authenticity, I guess, of the visual aspects of it, as well as, do their rounds throughout the interior to ensure that there's no debris or left behind goods and those sort of things.
Any other questions? Anything else that you have?
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
So we will bring CUP 22-11 back to the commission for consideration. Anyone have any questions, comments, questions of staff?
Yeah, I just have a comment. We've obviously been talking about this, as I am one of the ones that do live south of 40, and this is my area. I drive through this multiple times a day. This is the comments that are being echoed throughout our community. I've heard about it for weeks. There is a desire and a need for this. The HOAs do require a lot of restrictions. Mine does, my neighbor in HOA does, it happens. I don't know that this is the best use of this particular property. At D and Double D, where you're welcoming people to Bush Wildlife on one side, the New Melly area on the other side, down to Augusta and our wine country, why are we choosing a intersection, granted it's commercial, but why are we choosing this intersection to be something that could have greater use? And I think that putting this somewhere else in that area is gonna help us a ton more, not next to residential, not next to some of the HOAs that are represented here, more in an industrial, larger commercial area, not on our main stand as we go through to our, neighboring communities.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I think that that was my original question about if this was an interim use. This does not seem like the highest and best use of this property. And I think potential impact on surrounding properties is something that we need to consider. I think that in a more area that's more commercial, this might have a place, but I don't see it at D&D.
Anyone else?
Yeah, so I have questions for staff. The last couple of storage facilities we did, how many more restrictions did we put on those? We did a bunch of restrictions on those that we're currently not doing on this one.
Well, I think this is about typical, what's proposed.
I mean, I remember putting in absolutely a restriction of not working on I mean, it doesn't,
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Yeah, there
they're
was
going to
one-
have additional restrictions, but I don't see what they're going to have. They don't have a contract in front of us saying what the people are going to sign that has additional restrictions, so.
Okay. Well, you, as the Planning and Zoning Commission, you've got three considerations. You can approve as proposed, approve with conditions, or recommend, I should say. Recommend approval as proposed, recommend approval with conditions, or recommend denial. So if there are conditions that you see that are related to those criteria, you can certainly vote on those and add those. Now, there was a mention of fireworks. We did have a condition a couple of years ago for a storage facility, and at the request of the building code enforcement director, we included a condition having to do with fireworks. That was because they had these shipping containers on the site, as well as the RVs and all of that.
Okay.
And he had a question specifically from someone wanting to store fireworks in a shipping container at that location, and he saw that as a problem in terms of safety.
Okay. Maybe that was it.
Any other questions? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve CUP 22-11.
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Bamer. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Barr made the second. Okay. Mr. Cleary, how do you vote?
No?
Mr. Fromm?
No?
Ms. Cochran?
No.
Mr. Shell?
No.
Ms. Barr?
No.
Ms. Bamer?
No.
And I vote no.
You didn't ask him?
No, he did.
Oh, yeah, I got, didn't I?
No,
Yeah, I
didn't
got correct. Didn't I get you? That's what I thought. Yeah. Now, this will be on the county council's agenda for the Monday, November 14th, 2022 meeting, right back in this room. Okay, so that's Monday, the November 14th. So it will be on the county council's agenda. And because what we're making is a recommendation to the county council. They have the final authority.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next item on our agenda is a conditional use permit request located at 6730 Hickory Tree Lane. The application number is CUP 22-12. The property owner, the Sparrow's Nest. Property zoning is R1A, Single Family District. The conditional use request is a daycare serving no more than 10 children at any given time. Parcel size is 1 acre. The location is approximately 470 feet southwest of the intersection of Carter's Grove and Highway K, adjacent to the city of O'Fallon. This is located in Council District 3. Staff.
The address is 6730 Hickory Tree Lane, but it's located just off of Highway K in what I would call a secluded area off of, along a private drive in a wooded area. But there are subdivisions nearby. This is a 1 acre parcel that has an existing 2-story home that has been used in the past for some years by Sparrow's Nest for what I would call a maternity home, but is no longer used for that purpose. And if I get this wrong by the applicants, they can correct me, but I believe it already has sprinklers, for instance, in that regard. So in some ways, it's already set up for use as a daycare. So the request is for a daycare for up to 10 children. And the conditional use permit considerations are the same as we discussed last time. Would establishing, maintaining, or operating the conditional use be detrimental to or endanger public health, safety, or the general welfare? Would the conditional use injure the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity? Would the conditional use injure the aesthetic and/or scenic values of the vicinity? Would the conditional use substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood? Would the conditional use impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the zoning district? This property is already zoned for residential, and again, it's already been used for a similar but different residential use recently. My biggest concern, I think, which has been brought up by neighbors and those who have commented, is probably the driveway to access this property. It's by a narrow driveway, as it's been described as one lane, such that if one person is driving down this lane, another car is coming the same way, they've got to back up or they've got to drive off that lane. That's really, I think, my biggest concern about this. Also, you should know that in the backyard, the existing backyard, there's a residential subdivision in the city of O'Fallon. Right behind it's being developed. But there is a fence for this backyard, and also it's like, according to the aerial photographs, I see there's a retaining wall that's existing on the neighboring property. So the neighbors are going to be a little bit higher. They're not going to be adjacent to each other and right behind each other. So what I'm trying to say, there's going to be some grade difference between the two. County staff is recommending that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend that the County Council approve the conditional permit with 4 proposed conditions, including as requested or as proposed by the applicant, a maximum of 10 children may attend the daycare center at any one time. Parking shall be limited to designated parking areas depicted on the site plan. And all trees illustrated in the approved site plan shall be maintained in a healthy condition with diseased or dead trees replaced. The intent of that is to help preserve some of the visual buffer for surrounding properties.
Any questions for staff?
Yeah, Robert, you brought up, and I guess they both are questions centered around the same thing. You said there was concern about people coming in that driveway, but I don't see any recommendations for that. The second one was, with it being a private road, does it need some kind of approval from the residents there? I mean, if it's a private road for all the people there, how does that work with kind of a semi-commercial use with people coming and going? I'm just not sure.
Yes, they will need to ensure that they're complying with whatever private covenants there are, private road maintenance agreements there are for use of that, since it's a private roadway and not a public. So they're going to have to ensure that they're in compliance with that. Okay,
And that would be something that we wouldn't even need to address here.
No, they'll need to ensure that they have access rights, I should say.
It is annoying.
Did you get your question?
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions for staff?
I just, too, have a comment along with the property drive. I'd want to make sure that all emergency vehicles with being childcare there can pass through there easily.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I suppose the use as a maternity home would also have would have had demand for services, so there's some experience that the Sparrow's Nest will have had with that question. They can probably answer that.
Thank you.
So, can we make a condition that the road be widened, or because it's owned by more than one people, there's no condition that can be done? Or maintain it, for one guy.
Any conditions that are proposed would have to relate back to those criteria. So if it involved, for instance, the safety, sorry, I have to look back at the.
Yeah, we couldn't put a condition on somebody who's not making part of the application.
Right.
It's a legal question for council.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll ask the applicant to come forward. You solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings on the pains and penalties of perjury.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name is Dan Kozatek with Civil and Environmental Consultants, or CEC. Very proud to represent the landowner on this matter. Sparrow's Nest has some folks here in the audience, including Board President Kirk Kosicki, in case there's any housekeeping type questions that I may not be able to answer for you.
Okay.
Also, 3000 Little Hills Expressway, St. Charles, Missouri, is where our company's at. So this proposed CUP, as staff has already said, is to allow this change, right? To operate as a daycare for 10 children or up to 10 children. We feel this is the highest and best use for this lot. It's a critical and necessary use for the community. And is a change, of course, which is the need for the CUP, but is a necessity to change from the long-term, residential maternity home to what we call free or low-cost child care for a select group of families in this area. So the residents, if you will, of this facility would be qualifying for Missouri's child care subsidy, which is a different type of use from nearby other child care facilities, either down the street or in the county. So this is a unique application here. It serves a vital role for just daytime, weekday operations. This is not and will not be overnight type of facility where people will stay there. It's just a weekday, 7 to, I believe, 6 p.m. daytime, not weekends. There may be occasional evening get-togethers, dinners and such, but no overnight stays at the facility. The conditions listed by staff are recommended by staff. We are happy to abide by. No site improvements are proposed on this lot. So in other words, no trees are being removed. So we're happy to comply with, upkeep of the trees. We're providing more than enough parking for our use to park at the facility and enter in and out. Recognize the comment about the emergency vehicles. As a previous use there was a residential maternity home. There's been a regular visits from the fire marshal to that facility and assigned place to give direction to the facility, and the fire marshal has been satisfied with that to date. As far as the fence, acoustics, and things of that nature that might typically accompany a daycare, nice 6-foot wooden privacy fence there will remain and provide that screening. The neighborhood that's directly, I guess it'd be south-southwest, does have that retaining wall. I don't recall the height of it, but it drops down to that neighborhood. And so our lot, it sits way up above that. Some of the other neighborhood concerns, related to the centers, I talked about, the two other centers that are nearby don't accept that state child care subsidy. So it is different and a use that's not going to take away from those other facilities, in other words. As far as total traffic, what we've experienced historically when it was operated as a residential maternity home was approximately 20 trips per day for vehicles to and from. For this use, they're estimating about 30, so it is an increase. We feel that's a minimal increase considering the critical nature of the use for the community. Last comment there is, as far as the access and connection to the neighbors, there is 2 documents that I actually have copies of if you'd like to see them. I don't think they were included in the packet, but we do have cross-access easement down Hickory Tree Lane past those parcels to the residents. We also have a road maintenance agreement that was recorded in, I think, 1992 that talks about how and who and what maintains. Now, I think the landowners have changed since that document was recorded, but it is there, and we simply would abide by our current covenants and restrictions. So I'm happy to answer any other questions that you may have.
How many staff members would you anticipate for 10 children?
It's a good question. Staff may have to phone a friend on that one.
Phone a friend. You solemnly swear that do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings and the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Kirk Kasicki, and my address is 12281 Fleetwood Place, Maryland Heights, Missouri, 63043.
Go ahead, sir.
So we would anticipate that we would have 2 staff members. We'll have 3 people in the house at a time. Our model's a little bit different than your traditional child care center, as mentioned. So we would have 1 full-time staff, and then we would actually have 2 of the parents in the facility as part of the daycare staff during the day. And so we would have 3 total staff there at any given time, and then the additional 2 or 3 staff members of the Sparrow's Nest that will be working from the building.
What will be the age span of the children?
From birth to 5 to birth to kindergarten is what we're offering.
So we'll not have to worry about school buses trying to.
No.
Oh, boy.
No, that would, I mean, but the fire truck does fit down there. As he mentioned, we have a good relationship with the fire department, fire district. They come down and make sure that the trees are out so they can get the fire truck down there. When we said that they've been there many times, it's not because of calls, it's because of inspections and making sure that they can get down the.
Is there a sprinkler system in this?
In certain areas there is. So there will either be a sprinkler system or egress. That's one of the things that we had talked to staff about in regards to our occupancy permit.
Did we have to give a CUP when it, 'cause this is looking familiar, years ago?
Yeah, it would have been 9 or 10 years ago when we were here last time.
Well,
Okay.
it says this fire sprinkler is installed on the first floor, although not part of the area of use for this childcare facility. So it's not where the kids are going to be?
Well, so under our previous use, what we were required to have sprinklers in the kitchen and
Yeah.
over the hot water heater. And then the rest of them was through egress is how the zoning worked for that, or the occupancy permit. And so it would be similar with our current use. And that's one of the things that we will work through with the occupancy permit is everything still up to code? Is everything, do we need to add to the sprinkler system that's there?
Any additional questions?
So
Yes,
in
sir.
the case that you do have people coming and going, what's the protocol when cars go opposite ways on that street, on that drive?
I think, you can typically fit 2 side by side. It is one lane, but there's a buffer on each side a little bit to be able to fit 2 cars through there.
So there is no protocol, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you play chicken as you go through, but.
No, but what'd you do when it was sparrow's nest?
Same thing, it's the same.
Could they get by?
I would.
Or do they have to pack up?
Yeah, I
Say
mean,
they have to back
I've
up.
never come across, and all the times I've been back there, another car going
Yeah,
down
you
that
go-
road,
you
but I
go
would
to
imagine
now.
you could fit side by side.
Yeah, but when you have a bunch of people dropping off early in the morning, you're gonna have something.
Sure,
like that.
yeah.
It's gonna be different. And then if it's free or reduced, how are you paying the staff?
Well, we are still going to be not-for-profit, so we will do fundraising, we will do the childcare subsidy through the state, various, yeah, so.
And I'm assuming all the staff, whether it's parents considered as volunteers, have to go through the same training, the
Yep.
same license, all the,
Yep.
for licensing?
Yeah,
for
we will be
childcare.
licensed by the state. We'll actually be licensed as an in-home daycare, not as a center. And that's one of the restrictions for the 10, is that that's one of the state licensing restrictions as well. But we will be licensed through DESI.
Can you give some more specifics as to the road maintenance agreement and what that consists of?
I can provide you a copy of it here. So you got a one-page road maintenance agreement that talks about an agreement between the 3 parties at the time who owned the 3 lots back there. This lot is one of those 3. At the time, the names were Burkemper, Lehman, and Canoyer, of which I think none of them are currently residents, but what this talks about is that it confirms that the individual hereby assume and agree to share in the cost of the maintenance and upkeep of the shared private gravel road identified as Hickory Tree Lane at the time.
So you have 3 people that are sharing equally in the maintenance.
It doesn't specifically say equally,
3.
so yeah, that's,
Okay.
that would default to, yes.
I have a little bit of experience with this, as I was a while ago planning on doing a similar thing on a different private street. That did not work out. The other residents were not interested. But one of the things, and this is just an idea, one of the things that we discussed was that the member on the street that was using the street more often and had more use of it would pay a larger percentage of the upkeep. Is that something that you guys might be interested in doing, widening it, making it more accessible? Because it does seem like that drive might be difficult.
I mean, yeah, we'll be glad to work with the neighbors on whatever we can come to.
And just as a full disclosure, I am a donor to the Sparrow's Nest, and I am a supporter. And I mean, I have no problem with this, but I do think that, like, it is important that they have, an appropriate street where 2 cars can go, because you're gonna have a lot of cars coming in and going out at the same time. There's gonna be a circle of people dropping their kids off. It seems like widening that road might be something you guys might wanna take on.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
We will now open the public hearing for CUP 22-12. Anyone wishing to speak? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or under the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Please state your names and address for the record.
Brandon Westfall, 6714 Hickory Tree Lane.
Okay.
Leslie Westfall, 6714 Hickory Tree Lane. Live there.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So, first and foremost, everyone that we've ever met at Sparrow's Nest or anyone involved in that, very nice people. Nothing but nice things to say about them. I'm the other neighbor. It's a street and there's 2 houses. We're the first house before their house. To say that it's a hectic street is an extreme understatement. The other person that has an easement to that street has put some boulders about halfway through the street. If you want to put this over here. Can she see these if you put the phone down here or no?
Probably won't be able to see.
I didn't print it. I didn't know. We Well, put there's one- boulders and there's, the car gets stuck there at least once a week, which then we can't get out of our driveway, and it delays us to do everything. It's one car can barely fit. And I know if you said that you've been down that road before, you know that it's not a two driveway.
1 second, I can put her phone.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't print it. I'm sorry. Yeah, these are just the pictures of.
Yeah, no, we'll do it over here.
Just a few out of over 20. You guys have all the fancy stuff. I feel a little intimidated. I just put it all in one folder, so it's all in there.
Okay, give me 1 second, and then you can, I'll push it up there, and you can just
Okay.
push it up.
Thanks, appreciate it.
I think I would like to know what he knows about computers.
That's handy.
So this is the driveway, and those are the boulders that I was speaking of. This is, I mean, obviously this is every single week. I mean, this is not something that
There's no way in or out. You're stuck. We've had
we
to run
don't,
down other
we don't
people's-
have our driveway plowed, obviously, because it's not in the city. So me and my son have to go out there and try to do it. Trucks get stuck there all the time. That's another vehicle that's stuck there, doesn't know where to go. Like, this is not a road that you can go down and try to turn around. It's either you go down there or you back up into Highway K. Or you turn into my driveway and tearing up my property, which has already been done. You know, so I really wish they could get the daycare, and I know I don't make that call, but the traffic now is crazy. My son is now back in high school. He was homeschooled. He has to walk to the top of to Highway K to catch the bus, obviously, because no bus can get down there. I don't want him dodging cars to get to the bus stop. I don't want to have to worry about that safety and concern that I already have to worry about him walking the Highway K. So as far as vehicles go, that's our main concern, is the traffic. And obviously I don't want a penny of my money going to a widened road that doesn't have anything to do with me, you know? That's just kind of where I stand on it. We have a 3-year-old that has seizures, and I either have to call, an ambulance at a drop of a dime. I don't want a situation where, I can't have access to getting out, because my son's had 2 seizures already, where we've just had to throw him in the car and get out. I've been in situations where I have to go to work, I leave, and I can't go anywhere because there's no other way out. So I don't want to run into that situation, and I've already done it many times, and this is, just like they said, going to up the ante of the traffic coming in and out. So, and there's no other way.
Do you know who put those boulders there?
Yes.
Keevan.
And whose land is that?
So, this is the thing. We purchased the home in 2020 from Burt Kemper. I haven't seen all the papers and easements and paperwork. He started cutting down some trees on my property, and the only reason why I knew it was my property is because we had just moved there not long ago, and we had
We lived there 8 years. We bought it.
Yeah, we lived there for 8 years, but we purchased it in 2020. We had the, what's it called?
It's a whole survey.
The survey of the land.
Of our land. before we
So,
buy it.
about halfway through, about where this picture's taken, is where our land starts.
So we own the easement. We're one of the people that
So
own
that's-
our land.
that's
We
where
have
it
to take care of
starts.
the concrete and everything on each side, the plowing, everything else, so, which hasn't been a problem, it's just a one-way street. But he got an
Generally-
easement. If you're wondering what that is, I don't understand how he got authorization for that easement down to a parking lot. Because this is the problem, not only for us, but the Sparrow's Nest. It's not fair. I have no idea who honored that easement or how it ever became legal, because it's a dangerous. So
It's a
when we
huge
asked
problem.
him, it was because his wife couldn't get out on the Highway K safely because there's not a light. But I have no idea. I know the new owners of, because I own a store right there, and he's my landlord now, and he owns that plaza, and he also doesn't know why the original owner of that plaza allowed that easement either.
They have traffic coming, people trying to turn in to go to Brewski's, thinking it's our street, and, oh, no, I made the wrong turn.
And
Then
those-
there's nowhere to turn around.
So he put the boulders there to keep from people going up and down. So here's the thing, you drive down from Sparrow's Nest in our home, and you can go down this way. But if you come in from Highway K, he's made it to where you can't go down, so like a stranger wouldn't try to take it as an entrance. But he doesn't live there. This man's got an easement all the way through the woods. I have no idea how. We've just never had the energy to try to fight it or deal with it, because he's not a problem to us, but that has become a problem to us. So, but I know it doesn't have much to do with this, but if you're wondering what the heck is going on, we don't really know.
Like I said,
But that's a big problem.
The Sparrow's Nest, like we've dealt with the traffic and the donations and stuff, and people that's never typically been down that street,
And I wanna go for what I
not knowing, you can't turn around with that, but like up in the ante of the amount of cars, just.
So, let me just clarify. So the land belongs to you,
Yes.
but he has an easement to have access to his property through the land.
That's correct.
Yes.
Typically speaking, an easement does not also include the allowance of placing boulders there.
See, we don't know.
I
We're
just
first
just
time
access.
owners.
This is our first time purchasing a home.
And he comes to
I
his
checked with-
authority like
yeah.
he knows. So we just, we didn't fight anything. We don't know. We don't want
So,
problems with
so
our
my
neighbors.
question
Kinda,
to you,
Disadvantages them as well.
my quick question to you is just, since it is your land, and since you do have the authority to tell people what they can and can't do on your land, with the exception of the access of the easement, if someone were willing to pay to widen the road so that people could go both ways, would you allow them to use your land to do so? If, someone being the Sparrow's Nest specifically.
My feeling is we moved there to live in the woods. We moved there 8 years ago to live in the woods. Then we found out that the Sparrow's Nest was there. Being a 19-year-old mother on my own, it was cool. I totally honored it, totally cool. But my problem is, the only reason why I don't agree with it is because it's changing. When I talked to her in June, it was, the people that already live there, they were trying to help those girls. And I offered to mentor them, hire them, everything. I would still love that. But now it's turned into like 10 kids, and now it's turned into state income, you know what I mean? Like a state type of, to anybody, not their community that they had living there before. So it's kind of changing. Now it's kind of like a daycare for whoever. And now it's changing from one person running it to, he said 3, then when he was up here, he said 4. It's just, that's a lot of traffic. We bought our home for the sacred piece of it, honestly.
If you drive down Highway K.
You've been there,
and if
so
you've
you've
never
seen
been
it.
there before, you probably never seen our street before.
It's like Highway D. We
It's-
came
it's
from there to
very
there.
secluded,
I've seen it.
so.
But I did send a letter in, because I didn't know if I'd make it being pregnant, but I totally am excited for them. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I wish that they could get a facility, but I just don't think it's a spot for that. Like,
Yeah.
unless they got an easement through that neighborhood. I don't see how it's safe.
Who is the person that has this the third person with an easement?
No,
They-
but
they-
other than them, I guess it would be
They have
them
an
and then
easement,
Burke Camper.
right? Yeah. They have an easement, Kevin has an easement, and then we do. We were told when we bought the house and did the survey, there's somebody in the middle that owns a small lot, but nobody knew the name.
Yeah, they
kind
said
of a
it's
wooded
a
mess.
slither of woods
Yeah.
that goes back.
Okay,
And-
so who put the rocks, the boulders there?
Kevin.
Keep 'em.
He also cut down a whole new path. So if you actually look, if they had pictures of their place, he cut a whole nother path for 18-wheelers in his commercial
So
cars.
he
So
cut
there's
that path
commercial
because
too,
he's
coming in and
I
out.
guess putting a lake or something, he said, back
He runs a business back
somewhere
there.
on
I
his
don't know.
property.
That he may have the right to do as
Which I'm sure
Yeah.
I didn't question it, and I'm not, but, because I knew that was only gonna last for so long. It's not like they're gonna have 18-wheelers going up and down for
Because
years.
his property is even past Sparrow's Nest.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, it's on
Because
three
there's a little
Brookview.
Y in the road, correct?
Correct.
Past your house, and his property is.
It's 3 Brookview Lane. I just know
Yeah.
because I was his neighbor growing up. He didn't know that.
So you all still use that little narrow street?
It's a one-way. There's no way 2 cars could ever fit. Our
I mean,
Yukon could barely fit.
Just leaving here, coming today, we pulled out, another person came in, and it's playing chicken every single time. That person literally had a backup on Highway K. Because there's nowhere else to
He'll hit the
turn
boulder.
around.
You can't come in and make a left down that thing. He has it set up to where you literally hit the boulder. But he doesn't have to deal with the mess because he doesn't live there. We live there, so we have to deal with coming in and out. We've had police officers tell us, just drive down the lane, like the grass that belongs to the people in the commercial, because we've had to get out.
So what happens when it snows or ices?
We plow.
I've had to pull people out.
Oh, you mean the cars?
I've had to literally, because little old ladies would come down there thinking they're going into the next parking lot. We've literally, me and my son and my, friends that have been over, we've had to help people out constantly.
2x4s.
Yeah, we've had to do that. We have to do it every year. And if you can go there right now, you can see the yard still tore up from the last winter from helping people out. So it's not a situation where I think upping the traffic is a great idea.
Or widening the road,
But
it's
it's,
still
once
traffic.
again, nothing to, down talk to what they're wanting to do. I love the idea.
I do too.
It's just the situation.
I don't know if they can get an easement though through that neighborhood. I don't know if there's a safer way in and out. I mean, you guys have on record when he tried to make our home a commercial, they denied it because of the school bus getting hit. That was our son's school bus, so. Because there's just a lot of traffic right there by Dunkin' Donuts. It backs up all the way Highway K.
Okay. Any other questions?
It's my
Anything else?
comment, just one quick one, I'm sorry. So if that road were fixed and the easements were taken and it was widened, everything was straightened out so everybody could pass through there okay, you'd be fine with it? Is that what?
We live in the woods. We live on Highway D, but not Highway D anymore. If you've been there, it's sacred.
just
It's so peaceful.
welcoming more traffic
Yeah.
in a way.
Okay.
So I'm not a fan of the idea.
I'm gonna tell you, the woods aren't gonna last that long.
Well, there's nowhere to build up. We
Yeah.
own we own almost 4 acres right there. So we don't plan on selling our acres. We found out some of the neighbors are on our acres. So, I mean, I understand on the outside is not the woods, but if you've drove down there,
Oh, yeah.
it disappears. You're in the woods. So, I don't, if there's a way for them to cut through their backyard, great. That'd be great for them. I think it'd be awesome. Then it cut down everything. But, I mean, I don't know how other way it would happen, so.
Do you want your money?
Me? Yes, oh, I'm good.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
I mean, I guess the question hasn't really been answered. I mean, it seems, and without looking, we're not lawyers here and we don't have the papers in front of us, but it sounds like there is an easement that is currently in place that when you purchase the property, you were required to honor. And that means that the people behind there have to be able to get in and out, regardless of whether that house is a maternity home, a daycare, a residential home. It still sounds like your neighborhood has a problem with there not being adequate, the road is not adequate for 2 cars to go down. That seems like a separate problem from what that particular house is. Even if it's a residential house, you're still gonna have the same problem.
But you're not gonna have, if it's a residential
Well, you
house, you're
wouldn't
not gonna
have all
have
the
30
traffic.
cars coming and going every
Correct, you're
day.
not gonna have the
Right.
volume of vehicles.
Or be ran off the road.
I mean, because if you think about it, it's,
But
you
my
could say
point is-
neighborhood, but it's 2 houses.
Right.
Right.
It's our house and that house.
My
You know what I
point
mean?
is that
It's-
when you purchase the property, there's already an existing easement that says that there's supposed to be adequate access to the homes and the business, Mr. Keevan, or whatever his name is,
Yeah.
behind there. And, I mean,
And we looked through all our.
I don't know
our-
what that looks like. I don't know
Right.
how large that easement is, if it's only a 1-lane easement, if it's a 2-lane easement.
It's
I
not
don't know.
attached to our home. That's what
It's
we're trying to
not.
say.
Right.
It's not. He
Well-
says he has the paperwork, but it's never been provided.
When we purchased our
Should be
home and
recorded.
looked through all of our papers and what was recorded and what's not, he
It's
has
survey.
something completely different than what we have.
If it's not recorded,
we have
I'm
a
not
copy
sure
of
that
it?
it's legal.
Do we have a copy of the easement?
Someone said
That-
that it was like 1990 that they had a copy. I thought the guy that came up here and spoke, didn't he say it was 1990 when it was made?
92 or something
Or
like
something.
that. I don't have the copy that he has.
And they didn't when
All
we
of our
purchased
paperwork that we got from our title company is completely different than what he has. So it was kind of hard for me to say, oh yeah, you can't be cutting down trees to get to your land when I have different paperwork than what he has.
Because we did tell him to
So
stop, and then
I
it,
just kind of looked at it as, okay, well, look, this guy's, he already cut down multiple trees before I got out my house. So it was one of those situations where it was like, okay,
I guess my point is simply, just, I'm trying to understand the situation, and it seems like you have a problem with your road that is independent of what that home is being used for.
not necessarily, because it's independent to the traffic.
Yeah,
That's
I
that's
agree
our
with him.
main concern. It has
it's
absolutely
our-
nothing to do with what they do in that home. I like everyone in that home, everyone that I've met. They've been completely nice to us. They come to our house.
Mm-hmm.
They've been nice. I have nothing wrong with anyone in that home and what they're doing. It's only the traffic.
Right, but
And
if the
so I
road
think-
were widened, that might fix the problem with
But
the
there's still
traffic.
traffic.
It's
It
just
doesn't
going to
eliminate
add- it's going to
30
add
people
more
coming in and
traffic.
out of a two
Ms.
two
Morris,
homes.
I think Ms. Morris' point is that hypothetically, me and my wife and our 6 children can move into that house. It's residential, okay? So now what do you have?
That's 8 cars,
That's 8 cars.
not
Not 30.
34.
Well, you're not going to have 34.
And there's no
That's
street lights.
what he just said, though.
He did say 34.
30. He said 30 cars coming and going today.
No, trips.
Right, we're counting cars a
It's
day.
still 30 times going up and down the
We're
driveway.
counting.
But if
Traffic.
I've got me, my wife, and my 6 kids, that's 8, all the kids are driving, so there's, you're gonna have the same thing, okay? So you've got 2 separate issues. This Planning and Zoning Commission really doesn't have any authority to address the problems with the easement and what's going on between somebody putting boulders and cutting trees. That's a civil matter.
We were just
okay?
answering a question.
That's all, I know. Now, but the only thing we have to make sure is there access to this property, okay? So, yes, there is access, legal access to this property. Those other issues are something we have no authority over. We can't do anything about that.
I guess I'm confused. We were just answering a question.
Oh, I know.
I'm sorry.
You're fine.
You're not in trouble. It's
Oh,
okay.
my
And I don't think it's fair
What's
to
going on
ask
with
them to
Stevens?
pay for road maintenance to an easement for a property that they don't
Oh,
own.
no, I don't think.
Or to
anyone
ask them
was
to give up
asking.
property to do that either, just, you
Well,
know.
and that
Well,
was.
that
and
depends on what the easement says.
Exactly, that was my point.
it's 20 and they've only got a 5-foot road, then there's room for.
So is there a way to
That
get a
was
correct
exactly my
easement?
point.
Because,
Yeah.
I mean, going off of what I have is completely different than what, so I just need a little bit of guidance on that, I guess. Is there a way to get that accurate?
I mean, if.
Like, where do we go?
You need to hire a lawyer.
Yeah, well, and it,
That's
and.
what
or a
we
title
were
company
told.
or survey,
Yeah.
yeah.
And because we want to be civil, we just did it, because it was
Right.
okay. But
I'm
now
not-
if we're
yeah,
going
but-
like 34 cars a day, we have 2 kids.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the cars. You guys need to hire a lawyer to research and
I mean, if
find
it's
out
not
what's.
recorded.
It doesn't
Right.
exist.
Still
Yeah,
says
it
something.
doesn't exist if it's not recorded. It should be in the recorder of deeds office.
Yeah, it's not. We
Yeah.
checked.
Well, then it's not anything,
But that's why
Okay.
you still need to hire a lawyer.
yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you, I appreciate that.
Yep. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Really confusing. And unfortunately, we don't have the information.
You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings and the pains and penalties of perjury.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you very much, members of the commission. Arnie A.C. Dienoff, County Public Advocate, mailing address P.O. Box 1535 in O'Fallon. If they could pull up and back page 5 of 15 in the packet, and why they pull that up in the back, if they can kindly. I just want to make a matter of record that you have one email with a long list of concerns, and I believe that was the resident that spoke. And then there are 2 emails in opposition. Now, I want to put it on a matter of record because I'm a person and I expect our county to treat all applicants equally on the same basis. If you all recall, about 2.5 years ago, before this commission was a group home of 8 individuals who wanted to put their group home on a private small lane in outside of unincorporated St. Charles City. That roadway had the same concerns: congestion, not being able to be accessed by public safety units, the fire engines, turnaround radius. This commission denied and recommended to the county council, and it was denied by the county council for this exact same reason. So I would like you to treat all applicants fairly and on the same even keel playing field. And if you need to speak to your secretary or Mr. Myers about that, I'm sure he will give you the specifics. But this just happened in the last 2 years, if I recall correctly. My concerns are traffic safety. I'm not taking a position on this, either for or against, but traffic safety is your number one priority as commissioners. And there needs to be full inspections and licenses by the Department of Public Health, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, the State Fire Marshal's Office, the Fire Marshal for the Cottleville Fire Protection District, And if you look at the state regulations and codes under the state fire marshal's office, and we had this discussion 2 years with the group home for 8 individuals, the entire facility must comply with the state code that says that it has to be fully sprinkled. And Mr. Myers, if you recall that conversation with the group home, I think those same guidelines and restrictions apply here. And that's going to be a grave cost to the individuals who own the property currently. I'd like to see some conditions added that there be a maximum number of children. They say 10. Let's make sure it doesn't turn into 20 or 30. A condition for traffic safety measures be installed, whether it's a private road or it's definitely a road not constructed to county construction standards. A condition that they remain fully licensed, and if they lose their license, they also lose their conditional use permit. A condition that emergency response vehicles have a turnaround radius of a fire ladder truck and proper fire engines to this property. In a condition that this approval of this application must be contingent on the roadway being corrected. I just don't see, we had the same discussion 2 years ago with an 8-person group home, same exact conditions, same exact circumstances, and I just don't see how this can push forward without some type of improvements to the roadway and some type of capital investment. Without that, and the legalities of the easements that are unknown to this day, I mean, we heard what the title company gave the residents, we heard, what might be on the recorder of deeds issue, but there needs to be a contingency that this roadway be corrected for everyone's health, safety, and enjoyment of their property. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone? We'll close the public hearing for CUP 22-12. Ask the applicant to come back. Anyone have any questions for the applicant specifically? Anything you want to?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a few things. Just to clarify the easement question.
We'll take them.
There we go. All right, so this is one of the documents that we have. This is a recorded document, St. Charles County, that shows the lots and a 50-foot wide easement right here along the edge. It's shown hatched there, and I kind of boxed out the word, the number 50 there, just so you can see that. Also, what you'll see in your packet, here's our site plan, also references the same easement, 50-foot wide with the book and page. This one is noted to the Sparrow's Nest because that's what it lists in our easement there. I think that was recorded in 2013. There could be additional easements. I'm not aware if there are. This one we know is dedicated for Sparrow's Nest use of that 50-foot wide easement. So I can't speak for Keevans in the back. They may or may not have an easement there. If I flip one more page, which is also in your packet. This just shows the aerial so you can get a better bird's eye view of where we're at. Here's the Sparrow's Nest residence here and the neighbor, I believe. This is your all's property here next to us, correct? So they come down this road past these buses, whatnot, and come into this turnaround area here. So you still see the road back that I suppose goes to Keevans in the back. There's that 50-foot wide easement. The neighborhood to the south, residential subdivision that is, that's currently being built out. This is a portion of their site plan that we just sort of overlaid to show the proximity. So you'll see the proximity of those homes to this residence for reference.
Now, is the pavement that's there 50-foot wide?
No. No. Easement's 50 foot wide, the driveway's narrower.
Okay. So with a
Variable.
50-foot easement, then you could double the size of the pavement. If I have a 50-foot easement.
Does that go all the way out to Highway K, that 50-foot easement?
Yes. I
And are
believe it-
you
I believe it does. On our, I don't have the plat that shows that with me, but I believe it does go out to Highway K, yes.
Now, who owns the land that this easement is going across?
To the east towards Highway K, I'm not sure exact.
Well, at the, where the Y is, if I'm
Yeah.
going to my right, that's, Keven owns that property, and I think Keven used to own all of this property.
Let me flip back one sheet. The property that the Sparrow's Nest owns,
They own that
or
property.
these,
So
there are
the-
two
so-
lots here. This is the lot where the residence is, and then there's kind of an L-shaped lot here. And so these two are owned by Sparrow's Nest, and then our
So
neighbor here.
where the easement is now, going from the Westfall's home, is that on their property, or is that on Mr. Keven's property?
It goes along the entire northern boundary, as shown.
It's a multiple property.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
saying.
multiple properties.
Where is their property line, where is it in relation to the easement? So all I'm saying is,
Oh, I
it's
see
an
what
easement
you
on
mean.
their property.
Right, it's on their property, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So Mr. Keven doesn't control that section of the easement?
He just has access.
I am personally not sure how Kevens have easement there and ingress. I would suspect they do, but I am not sure.
Yeah, if we're talking about the same property I'm thinking of, there's a really long, narrow strip of land, super long, narrow, and a driveway. It goes back to some farm property, some farm ground that's totally surrounded by subdivisions, and it's somehow an island of farm ground in the middle. And they got a permit maybe about a year ago to regrade that, put in a pond, or there was a pond there. At that time, the applicant stated categorically that they just planned to farm that. They don't plan to develop it. But I don't even know how you could develop it, honestly, because it's such a long, narrow strip going back to that farmland.
Okay. But conceivably, you could take the road and there's adequate room to increase the size so two vehicles could pass.
Theoretically, yeah, you could widen the road. I'm not sure about the topography there and what it would take to make that happen, but yes, there's a 50-foot wide easement.
There's enough width
Yeah.
to do it. Okay.
Maybe there's and speaking as a civil engineer, there could be a more effective way to do it by providing some ways for cars to turn off at certain spots rather than the entire road, but that's something that I would prefer to work with county staff, as there's already a
We're gonna
condition
put some
for a
bubbles,
site
some little
plan.
bubbles every now.
Potentially, yeah, if that's acceptable, but work with staff to come up with a solution there.
Right, on train tracks, they have what they call sidings, where one train can pull off while the other goes by. That's essentially the same thing.
Yep.
Are we able to put some form of condition that states that they have to provide adequate access to where it's safe, where it's safe for traffic, that they have to pay for that? I mean, I don't know how to,
Well, independent of what we're doing here at Planning and Zoning, because this is at a zoning conceptual level, the fire department also has to review it and approve plans as well. So the fire department will require what's called a fire apparatus access road. And a lot of times that is the pavement plus a shoulder. So they want to be sure that if, like, there's a car stalled out, they can get around it. And a lot of times, if there's not adequate width of pavement, they'll also take into account the shoulder. They also have to take in sometimes to the existing additions. And so there was some mention about cutting the tree branches. That's another thing they look for. This comes up sometimes with wineries and things like that, when you get out in rural areas that just don't have great, they have just little narrow roads, things like that. I guess my point is, when you say safety, In terms of emergency response, the fire district will, I think, address that with that fire apparatus access road. But in terms of 2 cars passing, I think you could, as long as you tie it back to the conditions, you could require some sort of passage for a car, so someone could pull off to the side a little bit. If you see a car coming, there's a way to pull off just to the side.
I have another, this is a chicken or egg question about approving this prior to them receiving their license from the state.
Mhm.
Because that was not in the conditions.
Yeah, they'll also have to get, there's various approvals they'll have to get, a license from the state and presumably from the county health department. I think the county health department contracts with the state to do inspections on their behalf. They'll have to get approval from the fire department. But those are all independent. They have to get each one of those. If they don't get all of those, they won't be able to operate as they're hoping to. But I don't know if we necessarily need to bundle them all together. I don't know if we necessarily need to say that we're not going to give you zoning approval if you don't get license from the state, unless you see there's a tie-in.
Well, I think we can put in that the CUP is not effective like we do in some others until they've received punched all these tickets.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah,
Right.
I think so too.
And that was, actually, you were just pulling up the wording of that. Can you?
No, it's just, we usually put on all these, the last says no conditional use shall become active until all conditions of approval have been
Yeah.
met, and that was
Yeah.
put in this, that's what I was putting that.
Yeah.
Earlier, and I was gonna recommend that we add that on as well.
Well, and I do have concerns about the sprinkler system because, you know, if you've got kids that are 0 to 5, and it says it can be up to 12, you know, if you've got 2 or 3 adults there, you know, these homes can go up pretty fast, and egress is nice, but it's, you know, if you've got babies and, you know, can you get 2 in your hands and what area and what's going on? So I do have some concerns, but I guess if the county says it's okay, then, you know, the fire department.
There's been no plans that have been reviewed, to my knowledge, for the daycare in terms of building codes. So just like the fire department and others, they'll have to get building code approval, and they'll have to meet all of those code requirements. That's just another step that they'll have to get.
And that can be part of the CUP too, correct?
You could, yeah, you could, if you wanted to, you could tie them together such that if they don't get other approvals, then
Yeah.
CUPs. Now, with the building codes, it's somewhat complicated in that there's differences. What was referenced before was a group home, and that
Right.
involved people sleeping. And that is a big consideration. Anytime when there's people sleeping in a house and it's not a single-family residence, then the building codes want to place sprinklers in that building. I mean, that's the kind of default. In this case, there's no nighttime, there's not kids sleeping overnight, but I will say the kids are young, 0 to 5, so the building code will take that into account because those children don't have self-preservation capabilities.
They tend to run and hide, when they get scared and.
But they will have staff, full-time staff there on site. So all those things will be taken into consideration when they get their building permit for the daycare.
Is the road, in reference to the easement, is the road right now, does it go directly down the middle of the easement so that you could do those bubble type of things you're talking about? Is it to one side?
It's variable. It kind of meanders through there.
How long is that road?
I wish I had that answer for you. How long's the road? Y'all know?
From the Highway K to you guys' home, I would say maybe 150, 200 yards.
I was gonna say about 600 feet.
Maybe 500 feet, yeah.
600 feet.
Come in, you're already sworn, so you can speak.
The road's 0.22 miles long from K to our property, right? K to our property.
0.22. Let me do that
Oh,
math.
5,200.
So 1,000 feet, 1,200 feet, 1,500 feet, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, 20%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,200 feet, yeah.
Yep, 1150.
4 football fields.
There you go.
Okay.
long.
Any other questions?
So my last question is, why are you changing the use from Sparrow's Nest to this? Is it just trying to get use of the property, or?
Partially, so this is a need that we have identified in St. Charles County. When we opened initially, the need that we identified was maternity homes for children under 18. That need has been met by other organizations now, and so we are trying to find a way to meet a different need in St. Charles County. And quality, affordable childcare is probably the biggest need in the county. And so we have this facility, we have the training, we have the staff, so we decided to try and meet that need.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. We'll bring CUP 22-12, which is the request for a conditional use permit for daycare serving no more than 10 children at any given time, located at approximately 470 feet southwest of the intersection of Carter's Grove and Highway K, adjacent to the city of O'Fallon. Any additional discussion?
I think I would like to see the conditions that we talked about wrapped in.
So 5,
For the cut, yeah.
that no CUP be allowed until such time as they've met all the conditions from
Licensures.
fire, licensing, and all that.
Safety.
So, Mr. Counselor, how do we word that?
So, just to clarify, what's the first thing you want to add then? Just want to, because I think there were a couple here, I just want to clarify, yeah.
So that they get all the licensures, safety inspections,
Approval
meet
from
all-
them.
code enforcement, I guess the building code enforcements, that, everything's. Excuse me.
Okay.
I mean, normally, don't we have 5, or it says that,
The fifth one is usually no conditional use shall become active until all conditions of approval have been met, and those are the previous ones. This one, I think Robert's talking about, what you're talking about here is, those things have to be satisfied whether or not we put them in conditions before they can even use this as a home anyway. So I mean, to be frank, putting it in is probably superfluous, if I'm being,
Okay.
Sure.
frank on there, because you can't operate it until that point. So we could put something in, but I think that stuff needs to be met before you even get on there. So I just think it would be
Okay.
kind of extraneous superfluous. I understand the concern, but it's something that needs to be met before they can operate anyway. Yeah. On that, in terms of couple things, in terms of creating the roadways, it's gonna be kind of hard because they can do it on their property, but again, we can't necessarily obligate them to do it anywhere else than anyone else's. And if you sort of look at the long road, this single lane problem extends beyond their property and even into, I looked at the GIS mapping, kind of in the entrance, it's owned by a commercial property that also owns that Brewskis and that, so it looks like this single lane issue kind of extends beyond the reach of what we would really have control of anyway, to some degree.
Can we ask them to come back with this request after some of these things have been met?
They can request to table it. We can't really continue that on our own. They can request to continue it. For certain things that we do, like rezonings and things like that, you can have a concurrence of 3, but in terms of the CUPs, they could request to kind of, if you wanted to ask them to kind of maybe see if they'd be willing to continue it or table it for one meeting and then try to work these things out and then come back at the next meeting, that would be fine. Yeah. But it would be at their request.
I just think there's too many questions that are going unanswered that I don't know, right now, I would probably be a denial because I want to know more about the egress. I want to know more about, the traffic. Even if they do have a 2-lane road, I'm still increasing, 30 trips a day. And I get your guys' point about it's, it could happen with a family as well. But at the end of the day, the preservation of those 3 properties, I don't know if that's what we're set out to do. And if we had more time to look over some of the things that were brought up, I think we'd be better educated to make a decision.
So are you recommending that they request to table it until they go
Either
through
that or
some
we
of
deny it
those?
and they come back with an additional application down the line in a few months, once some of these questions are figured out.
No, it'll go before county.
You would still go before county, yeah.
Would it,
I like the suffering.
well, no, it's a rezoning that can't come back for a year, Robert.
It's also a conditional use permit, I was reading earlier, so if it should be denied by the county council, they'd have to wait a year to reapply. Also, if this body would recommend denial, then it would trigger supermajority requirement for county council approval. And I'm gonna triple check on the 12-month thing, but that's why I was reading earlier.
Yeah.
12 months, okay.
Do we want to ask the applicant?
Yeah, so
Would
you guys see where
come
this is
back,
going?
please?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody is in denial of their purpose.
Right,
Right.
right.
I think it's a great thing, but I just want to make sure that we're all able, that you're able to get what your goal is through all this and don't get halfway there and it all falls apart on you.
Want me to go? Okay. So I certainly would welcome a separate meeting, and we could get together and talk about it and try to come up with an amenable situation, specifically on the road, traffic, how to pass traffic through that area. So I don't know what the administrative request is here, but
You would
if it's
request that we
request to
continue this.
table,
To a month, for a month.
Yeah.
okay, until next meeting, which is 2 or 4 weeks?
4.
Okay.
Third Wednesday of November.
Third West, right, okay.
Or is that earlier, next week, that doesn't
That's
conflict us with?
Thanksgiving. Is that Thanksgiving? No.
No.
It's,
No,
Let me check.
well, yeah, you better check. I'd be home eating turkey and you'd be up here and.
because
mean, I'll
Thanksgiving
cook a
seems
turkey
early
for
Well,
this year.
You know, it's the day before Thanksgiving, so
Yeah.
it's the 23rd.
Are we having the meeting on that day for sure, still?
I'm thinking might be hard to get a quorum.
Yeah, I will not be here, I know that.
No, it's the 16th because it's the third Wednesday.
Third Wednesday.
Oh, third
Thanksgiving's on the
Wednesday.
fourth Thursday. so
Yeah, I'm
it
sorry,
wouldn't necessarily-
16th.
Okay,
Goodness.
so it'd be the
Go out to
16th of
bars
November.
that night.
I was misreading
You're
it.
still okay.
Sorry about that.
So at your request, then we will continue conditional use permit 22-12 to our November 16th, 2022 meeting. Is that correct?
That's fair?
So
Okay.
moved.
Seconded.
All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's going to be continued. We'll see
Good luck
what
getting
get
it.
worked out.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a worthwhile thing.
Oh, Robert, when was this aerial photo that we have? You know when that was taken? How old that is?
February 2022, the one that's in your packet should be February 2022.
Okay.
Not that old.
So are these, Mr. Westfall, are these tractor trailer rigs in your yard?
No, we had a party bus company, that we had stored there for a while, but all those aren't there anymore.
Okay.
But we're, and we talked to actually the zoning company before, we're building a pole barn, we're doing on our property.
Can you ask them to speak in the mic?
Pardon?
If they're going to speak, can you ask them to speak in the microphone?
Oh, okay, well, yeah. Yeah, come up here.
Roger, did you just want the meeting to go longer?
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
I want to
Didn't
make
have
sure.
anything to do?
You're getting like Gary.
Oh, okay, so these were party buses?
Yes,
Okay,
shuttle buses, party buses.
okay, and they can make it up and down the road?
That's what I was wondering.
Oh, at night, late at night with no one else coming, absolutely.
Yeah. And you were building
We're building, you can say a shed or a garage, I don't know what you prefer to say, but
pole
a
barn?
storage pole barn for them to go in, but it's before you get down to the wooded area, I guess you can say.
So when you say party buses, like they're not like school bus size, are they, or are they school bus size?
No.
Big,
I didn't think so.
pretty big.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Next thing on our agenda is the approval of the September 21, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes from the September 21, 2022 meeting. All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Passes. Planning and zoning division updates.
I don't have any report tonight.
How's Mike?
How's Mike? I spoke to Mike recently. He's doing better.
Good.
So he's improving, and I'm hoping that he'll be back to work soon.
I bet you are.
As ever.
Okay, anybody else have anything for the commission to consider?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn,
Second.
is there a second? All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. See, I was looking.